Welcome to the Pewtercast. This is the InstantCast show for the Seahawks versus the Bucs, which happened this afternoon on November 27th, 2016. Game took place in a bright, sunny Tampa, Florida at Raymond James Stadium. And, a lot of people were talking about the importance of this game. A lot of people were talking about what this game could mean for the Bucs. Some people were calling it a playoff-type game, playoff atmosphere. It certainly had a lot of playoff implications. I have been talking about this game personally since the preseason. If you guys have been around for any time at all, you may have heard me say that this game, I've been pointing to this game, game number 11, I think, in our schedule, that for this game, this would be the one that if we won it, it would mean that the media, the national media, would start standing up and taking notice of the Bucs, regardless of what else we had done throughout the rest of the season. Up to that point, this was going to be the game where people were going to start taking notice of what's going on. And I've just kind of been, perusing the atmosphere out there. I've been checking out what's going on the web, on the interwebs, NFL.com and a couple different places. And sure enough, those headlines are starting to percolate where they're talking about the Bucs actually becoming, a playoff team. I was looking at the standings, and the Bucs are listed as the number one spot for the in the hunt position for a wild card spot right now in the NFC wild card race. And who knows, some people say that we actually might have an easier time going for the division lead, beating out Atlanta, though they had a pretty convincing win today over the Arizona Cardinals, which granted the Cardinals are on a bit of a downslope, and the Falcons are doing pretty well coming off of especially a late bye week. So I'm not really sure if which one is easier, the easier path to the playoffs. Certainly we would like the division win. That's where we're going, but we can't do anything about what the Falcons do. But what we can do something about is what we do as a team, what we do here and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I say we, I realize that we're not the ones on the field. We're not the ones in uniform. We're not the ones in pads. We're not the ones on headsets calling plays. But you know what? We as the fan base, we are part of this team. We are a part of the atmosphere. And I'm going to just say on behalf of the team and on behalf of the fan base that is not located in Tampa, to everyone who showed up at that game, thank you. Your presence was felt. I could feel it through the TV. I was listening to Gene Deckerhoff's call on the radio. You could feel it through the radio. Even in that little 30-minute condensed version of the game, you could still feel the fan involvement, and you guys turned up. Listen, Tampa Bay fans, we've got some good fans in Tampa. I'm going to say it. You guys show up, you get excited. We've got some good fans. So it was really great to hear you guys out there. And as you may know, Tampa Bay Buccaneers went in with a big upset over the Seattle Seahawks. Everybody predicting the Seahawks were going to win this game. Now, granted, some people say, well, the Seahawks were injured and, all of that. And the Bucs, they're getting healthy. Well, you know what? We had to play injured too, right? We played a lot of games this season already injured, and this is a next man up league, so you don't have that as an excuse. We didn't have that as an excuse. Nobody else gets that as an excuse. This was the Seattle Seahawks team that got put on the field, and we beat them. It was not a very high scoring game. It was 14-5, but this was a good game to watch as it went back and forth. Now, this is an InstantCast show. If you guys are not familiar with how these InstantCast shows work, basically these are recorded, and we do this live right now, the day of the game. And just within a few hours of the end of the game, it's Sunday nights at 10 o'clock if you want to tune in. I may shift that just a little bit in a couple weeks when we play the Cowboys. More on that later. But for right now, Sunday nights, 10 o'clock, and it's really just we're still feeling the emotion. We're still feeling all the excitement and everything that was happening from the game. And, man, we've not had a chance to really watch the press conferences yet, right? We've not had a chance to go in and listen to and watch all the film breakdown and everything like that. We've not done that. This is our immediate, instant response for what we're feeling. And it could just be me on a microphone talking to you guys for the next hour. But instead, what we've been able to do the last couple weeks, and we're just going to keep it going because it's been working pretty well, is we're going to open up phone lines. Phone line. And you guys, the fans, are going to get to call in. That number is 864 this is a new number. We had to change it last week. It's 864-729-BUCS. That's 864-729-2827. You can call in. We'll talk about anything that you want to talk about. Hey, I have one rule. This is a PG-13 show, so save your expletive-laden stuff for another show. That's fine. I have no problems with that. But here on this show, we just keep it PG-13. Let's have an intelligent conversation about what you guys saw. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone line right now. If you're listening, you want to call into the show, that number again is 864-729-2827. And until you guys do that, you want to call in. Hey, I've got a whole list of stuff here to talk about during this InstantCast show. All right. Whew. Let me take a breath. That's kind of the intro that we have going on there. Phone lines open right now. Yes. Let's see. What's that number? 864-729-BUCS. 864-729-2827 for anyone who wants to call in for what we have there. All right. So let's talk about the game. Game comes on TV. I'm watching TV, and the first thing I noticed is that the announcing crew that we have in is the same crew that we had last week, and that was Kenny Albert and Moose Daryl Johnson. And I really like this team. I gotta tell you, I don't know why I made this as a note that I said I have to talk about this. I like these guys announcing our games. I just enjoyed them. I can't explain why. It was my own twisted little thing of just saying, I'm going to talk about that. I like what they brought to the team. I've had a problem with the TV announcers this season coming in talking about stuff that is either old news that we've already moved past and nobody cares about. And then when they talk about it, they get their details wrong. I remember, what were we, 6 or 7 weeks into the season, and somebody's like, hey, you know that Jameis Winston in the offseason, he lost a whole bunch of weight. Yeah, he lost 8, 9, 10 pounds over the, and we're sitting here going, no, I think it was 18, which, to me, 18 is like water weight. I go up and down 18 pounds in a day. I walk past a bakery and I'm up 18 pounds, okay? For a guy like Jameis Winston, it's a little bit more than that. A guy like Jameis Winston, that's really going to be a lot more. Hey, we got our first call coming in. Let's answer this. Thanks for calling in to the Pewtercast. You are here at the InstantCast show. Who are we talking with tonight?
This would be Aaron Rutherford, a.k.a. Chef Aaron 26.
Aaron, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing tonight, man?
Oh, my God. I am beyond ecstatic. I mean, I haven't felt this, or I haven't been this head over heels since the 2002 Super Bowl.
Man, you sound head over heels. You really do. No, dude, this is great because, well, okay, I'm gonna let you talk. Tell me about it, man. What's got you so excited?
Well, just the fact that we beat a Super Bowl contender. We basically dominated them. The defense dominated the Seahawks offense. I mean, I wasn't expecting to see the pass rush be that lethal. I mean, Noah Spence, he was just a terror out there. And even that new guy, Ryan Russell, he came out of nowhere.
Yeah, got his first sack with the team today.
Yeah, and the secondary came through. I mean, Tron Werner, he played like Quan Alexander did last year. I mean, he came out and he just made an unbelievable pick. Oh, my God. My heart goes out to that guy, but he really came through in the clutch.
Yeah. Alteron Werner. We're going to talk about him quite a bit, but man, he, I hate to, I don't want our players to have to lose somebody close to them to come out to have a good game, but it's going to happen every once in a while. And when it does, man, it's so great to see these guys come out and have a huge, huge game. I mean, that interception for Alteron today, I don't know if you saw, but when he caught it and he finally got tackled and he went down to the ground, I don't know how long it actually was, but it seemed like he spent a full-on minute just on the ground and looked like he was just crying, just so ecstatic and elated and emotional and all of those things. And I was like, good for him. That's great. And hey, that interception was huge for the team, for what we had.
Oh,
so,
yeah. I mean, you could definitely see the emotion just pouring out of him, even on the sideline when he sat down and had some of his teammates come over and just hug him and just, console him and all that stuff. So, yeah, that guy is definitely gone through a lot in the last 48 hours. So,
yeah,
good for him to get that pick.
Yeah, it's so great to have him get that pick. And I saw that they had a locker room interview with him. I've not watched it yet because that would, I think, interfere with the integrity of this particular show. But man, I cannot wait to get to go see it just to say.
Oh, I've seen it.
Oh, have you? What was it? What did he say? Go ahead and tell us.
He was just going on about how his father would have wanted him to play, and just talking about what kind of a man he was, just talking about how his father has sacrificed so much for him, growing up and all that stuff, and how he was like the nicest, kindest man in the world you'd ever meet. And just and I think he even said like the best quality about his father was like he would always have a smile on his face.
Yeah, man, that's fantastic. That's I've got a little 4-year-old son, and I do my best to be the kind of father that my father never was to me. And man, if I don't want to go out anytime soon, but if that can do something to inspire my kid to go on, I hope he knows that I would have that same. Oh man, it's got me worked up. I can't be talking about that. So yeah, man, it was it's something. Now, how are you feeling? Just because I know, I know, Aaron, you tend to be you're one of my favorite people to follow on Twitter.
Much appreciated.
You tend to be rather emotional too with the team as things go. How are you feeling as we're looking down the barrel here at the stretch really for the season, looking towards the playoffs? What are you personally feeling?
Well, I am definitely feeling like after these past 2 wins against legitimate playoff contenders that kind of like you said, if we can beat this team, we can beat anybody. I mean,
yeah,
it's going to be a tough road, no doubt about it. But this team, you can almost see, like on that field today, they really believe in one another. The chemistry is flowing. The juices are flowing. It's just they were all over that field, and obviously Wilson even saw because he was just suffocated behind that offensive line.
Yeah. Wilson, I think he had one good scramble. I think I noticed in this game. He may have had 2. I don't know. I have to go back and look at it. But outside of that, he couldn't get outside the pocket. He got sacked 6 times. 6 times in this game. I
think what staggered me the most was that I think what was that after halftime. You see how Seahawks offense had 1 passing yard throughout that whole entire half.
Did they really? That's fantastic. And that makes sense. 6 sacks, and God, they had 152 pressures on Russell Wilson throughout the course of the night. I mean, my God, they were all over him.
Seemed like it.
Oh man. Well, Aaron, man, thanks so much for giving us a call in, man. I love the enthusiasm, and I love. Yeah, man, I just love it. I love having you call into the show, bro.
No problem. As always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs, man. Go Bucs. Yeah, that is my buddy Chef Aaron. You guys go follow him on Twitter. I don't Chef Aaron, I think 26, I think is his Twitter handle. He's good. He's good people. All right, guys, phone line open if you want to call in. Somebody was trying to call in just a second ago. I had to shut you down. Oh, hey, looks like we're back. Thanks for calling into the InstantCast for the Pewtercast. Who are we talking to tonight?
This is Evan from Bucs Football. I was on a couple weeks ago.
Evan, Bucs Football. What is going on, my friend? You said you'd be calling in tonight, and here you are. What's going on, my friend?
Nothing much, man. I just wanted to give a few shout-outs to Altron Werner, who, of course, was discussed on the last call, but I just thought, I wanted Altron to have success when he came to Tampa. But, I mean, just when I heard the news of his father passing away, I was like, well, I I hope he gets a pick or a fumble or a pick six, something.
Yeah.
And that happened. I know his father's probably very, very proud of him. And, the guy always plays with a lot of heart, and he's an emotional player too. And he, you see his Twitter, and he's very grateful. He's very humble. It's just so good to see good things happen when tragedy strikes. Good things happen to good people. And very happy to see him be able to get the interception. But I did want to give another shout-out to the defense. And, I mean, the whole defense in general. I mean, this is – in all my years, obviously, I'm not that old, and this is probably the best defensive performance I've ever seen the Bucs watching a live game. Probably the best.
I mean, you might have been one or two watching a better defensive performance way back when, but not one that you can remember for sure. Yeah, it was great. I mean, there were, here's the thing. There is no way that that front seven could have gotten the kind of pressure that they did without even the play of the backfield, of the secondary. And those guys wouldn't have been able to do what they did without the front seven getting the kind of pressure that they did. Like it's a real symbiotic thing on that defense. And when it starts clicking and it starts getting in there and Mike Smith is starting to call the plays that he's able to call, they can shut another team down, They can absolutely shut another team down. And the only I don't even want to call it a complaint. Like I think the only what I would call out is like the next right step, the next step function for the defense would be they've got to start consistently scoring. If they keep playing like this and they have for the last couple of weeks, that's great. That's awesome. And we've still got a few more pieces we need to really get fixed, but man, I'll take what we've got right now for the rest of the season, no problem. The only thing I would just say is, hey, let's score some points on defense. Let's put that up on the board as well. And we saw what happened with that. What was it against the Bears? I think a couple weeks ago, or was that last week? I don't remember. I think it was against the Bears a couple weeks ago. But yeah, defense. I will say this. The one video that I did watch before this was the locker room speech from who's that guy that does the locker room speeches? Coach Cutter, that guy.
Cutter, yeah.
Yeah, head coach of the Bucs. And he even said something about this was like the best defensive effort that he's seen really, in forever. So so it's fantastic to see what these guys got going on, and the fact that they're able to get what they're able to do as a defense. So, Brent Grimes, what about him coming back? He didn't have any huge interceptions, but I didn't see him slip all game either. So it was good to see him break up some passes and stuff throughout the game.
Yeah, he got tripped up once, but luckily the receiver that tripped him up also tripped.
There you go. Very well.
It was on a deep ball.
Yeah. I can take that.
And they just got tripped up, both of them. And luckily the wide receiver just fell also.
Yeah. And here's it may be just a little random why I just pointed him out. It's just because I have a note there of it seemed to me, and I got to go back and watch the tape and find out, but it seemed to me like Russell Wilson was throwing towards Brent Grimes' side of the field way more often than he was the other side of the field. So that's it. Just I noticed Grimes on some more plays, I think, than I did Vernon Hargreaves. But I was glad to see him back. And what was it last week? I think when he got injured, seeing Altron come in. Altron had a good game last week on the for the time that he was in, and then of course tragedy striking this particular week. To see Altron come back in and get the plays he did and to grab that interception, man, it's just so. I mean, that's they've been talking a lot on the team about family, and you can really sense that. You can really sense that family. That's what that's about,
Yeah, I mean, you just go back, just like you said, go back to Week 8 versus Atlanta last year when Quan Alexander's brother died. We all saw the Jameis Winston huddle before the game.
Yeah,
we all saw that speech, and are we our brother's keeper? And Quan Alexander standing right next to him. Look at the game he had, and I think those moments. Yes, it is absolutely horrible that tragedy happens to good people, but those moments are was going to bring a team stronger and closer together. And I think Jameis is the right guy to do all that. I'm not sure if you saw or not, but Gerald McCoy was actually in the huddle pregame today, and he was saying about Altron, and like he was like, our brother's down, and basically almost what Jameis said. But I've never seen Gerald McCoy so fired up.
Yeah.
For a game, like he looked mad, and sometimes it's nice to see because we know Gerald McCoy. He's always gonna be the one to smile and gonna shake hands and gonna congratulate him, and that's okay. And, that's you don't need to be a complete douchebag, but it would be nice to see every once in a while him get that nasty side, and I don't think we've seen that much, and it was very refreshing to see. And it was also refreshing, honestly, to see him show up in the fourth quarter and Levante David show up.
Yeah.
It was nice to see them, too, making big plays.
Yeah, I mean, I have a note down here that I think this might have been Levante David's best game of the season for him personally. And I don't know what the stat lines are going to bear out with that, but it just seemed like this was a game where he was all over the place. I saw him in on most of the tackles, at least the ones that I noticed. I was a little distracted watching the game today, but he was in on most of the tackles that he should have been in on. He had that one, he picked it up and returned it back 30, 40 yards or something, where he picked up a fumble. 53. Yeah. I mean, he was there doing what he needed to do. And I believe, speaking of that video from the locker room after the game, he was the one who broke everything down. I think that's his voice that you hear talking to the entire team, and for what you were talking about with Gerald McCoy, take that all the way back to Jameis Winston during the offseason, coming up to Gerald saying, hey, you've got to be the one in the huddle, talking it up. You've got to be one of the guys that's out there, having everybody come in and listen to your voice, because your voice, Gerald McCoy, matters. Your voice, people will listen to you. They will follow you. They'll do what you need to do. And you got to get up there. And he's like, it's not really what I personally like, but if they need me to do it, I'll do it. And if that causes our team to win, then great, I'll do it. And you know what? If this is the kind of game that we get off of Gerald McCoy pregame speech, then let's have Gerald McCoy do the pregame speeches. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And, I just wanted to throw a quick stat up there. I believe Vernon Hargreaves only allowed 11 yards receiving for when he was covering the receiver. So very low for him. Probably the best game he's played all year. Still waiting for that first career pick, though. Hopefully it comes this year.
Yeah. I think we're pulling for that at this point. We're getting late in the year. We're pulling for Vernon to get that interception, but it's hard for him to get an interception or to even allow too many yards if they're not throwing to his side of the field, which to my point in the last one is it just didn't seem like they were doing it tonight. I don't know if that's really the case. I got to go back and look. But yeah, man. Well, Evan, thanks so much for giving a call into the show tonight, man. You got anything else before I let you go?
No, not much, man. Every Bucs fan can find me on Instagram at Bucs Football, on Twitter at Bucs Football _. I've been on the show before. It's a great show. Brent's a great host, and I hope to be on again sometime this season. Just, you know where to find me.
I do, Evan. I'm looking at the schedule here in just a little bit, and we'll see what we can do with that, okay?
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right,
Go
you
Bucs.
got it, Evan. Go Bucs, man. Go Bucs. Yeah, buddy. I love it when guests who've been on the main show call in to the InstantCast. That's fantastic. That makes me so happy. Phone line open. If anybody, actually, let me shut this down because I want no phone lines open. Don't call in because I got something I want to talk about just for a minute coming off of that conversation with him. He talked about that pregame speech from Gerald McCoy. I actually happened to pull the audio clip of that. So let's take a listen because I want you guys to make sure you've heard this just in case you didn't.
That was hurt on that family holiday. We got a teammate that's hurt bad today. We got 3 of them that's hurt today. Now we always break down on family. What you do when your family hurt? You pick them up. What you do when your family hurt? You pick them up. You ride for them. Hey, let's not just break it down on family. Let's be a family. Let's be a family today. Play for your teammates. Love each other, man. Let's go do this. Let's go. Family agree. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, did you hear him there? He said, hey, we always break it down on family. Let's be a family today is what he said. He said, we've got a brother that's hurt. We've got 3 that are hurt. So what do you do when you got a brother that's hurt? He turned around, he asked the rest of the guys. You might not heard it because he turned away from the microphone. What do you do when a family that's hurt? What do you do when you got a family member that's hurt? You pick them up. You pick them up. Guys, we talked about this a little bit earlier. We talked about this when we start talking about culture. Guys, when you talk about turning things into a winning culture, there's one idea that you bring people together and everybody does their own job. And when everybody does their own job, everything works, and then boom, we win. Okay, that's fine. That's all great and well and good in theory. But the truth is, we're human beings. These football players are just human beings. Things are going to happen. Life is going to get in the way. Somebody's going to drop the ball. Somebody's going to get beat every once in a while. It's going to happen. And that's when, as a winning culture, you step in and you say, hey, we're going to fill each other's gaps. We're going to hold each other up. And you know what happens is when that happens, miraculously, the brother that's hurting tends to be somebody who winds up shining in that moment. It's a real weird thing. And it's not just football. Football's this great metaphor for life. I truly believe that. It's not just football. I see that happen every single day in good organizations where a good culture exists, whether it's a business, whether it's a church, whether it's a nonprofit organization, whether it's a sports team. I see it happen all the time. When you have a culture where people will step in to fill the gaps when somebody's hurting or when somebody makes a misstep, because you're working together as a team, because it's not about you, it's about the overall organization. It's not about your numbers. You're not looking at you just doing your job. You're looking at everybody else. You are looking out for your brother. My God, things can happen. And I hope you guys can feel it. I hope you guys can feel it. The culture is changing. In fact, I would say the culture is already changed. It has not yet arrived, but my fellow fans, it is on the way. The culture is moving, and it is shaking. Oh, man. Hey, you guys want to call in? You don't have to talk about culture. If you want to talk about culture, talk about culture. We can talk about anything you want to do. Phone lines open. Once again, the number is 864-729-2827. That's 864-729-BUCS. And we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, particularly as it pertains to the Seahawks game. All right, let's get back on to taking a look. Oh my gosh, I love that pregame speech from Gerald McCoy. That was fantastic. Evan, thank you so much for bringing that up, man, because that was a great segue into that whole deal. How do you go from there not to talking about Altaron Werner, though? Let's talk about him for just a minute. I mean, my gosh. Here's a guy who he's been on the team for a few years now, and for whatever reason, he's gone back and forth between a starting job and a non-starting job, and a starting job and a non-starting job. And I don't know what goes into all of that. I really don't. I wish I could tell you more. I wish that I had some sort of insight to be able to describe that. The truth is, there's only so many cornerbacks you can have on the field at one time. And if you're going to invest your very first draft pick in a year in a young new quarterback and he's ready to play, you're going to play him. You're going to bring in a guy like Brent Grimes. If at that point it's a battle between Brent and Altaron, I don't know. I'm not at practice. I don't see who's practicing better or who's getting better, stats during games, because you got to ride with who's working. And then, of course, you got the guys that can move over to slot and different things like that, but or nickel, when you pull them out in the nickel package, and you bring guys out. But I'm glad that Altaron's getting playing time. But Brent Grimes goes down last week. Altaron comes out and he has a pretty decent game last week, I thought. I tweet, I have a soft spot in my heart for Altaron Werner because I want to see him play. I want to see him do well. Like I'm cheering for him personally. I have no reason to. I really don't. I have no other reason than he's a Buccaneer, tragically lost his father this week. We sent out a tweet and that's about all you can do in this world, right? Send condolences. For somebody who's a player, there's not a whole lot of personal contact back and forth between us as the fans and the players. But even still, it just seems like that's kind of the respectful thing to do. But truly from the bottom of my heart, we sent out a tweet, prayers up for Altaron Werner and his family who lost their father this week. But then Altaron does something that that I think it shows a lot of courage. I think it shows a lot of determination. I think it shows a lot of grit. He decides to come out and play because it's what would have made his father proud. I love that. I love that. He's playing. Guys, that's a big thing. Playing for something bigger than yourself. And Alshon goes in and gosh, that interception is going to be so huge. I hope he got to save that particular ball. And I know he got the game ball at the end, the defensive game ball. And how could he not? But Alshon gets Alshon, man. Yeah, much love and respect. I'm sure you've got some business to take care of at home this particular week. And prayers are with you. Our thoughts are with you. And we can't wait to see you back next week because, your daddy didn't just want you to play this weekend. He wants you to play the rest of them too. So we'll see you back here next weekend. All right, moving on. Phone lines open, 864-729-BUCS. That's 864-729-BUCS. A couple other things I wanted to get to. We had we were talking just a minute ago about culture. All right. Now let's talk about that. I want to talk about Robert Ayers for a second. Robert Ayers went out and, speaking of that great D-line, he got a sack today. I think he actually shared another one. So I think he went up for a sack and a half. I might be wrong on that, but I think that's what I saw on his stat line. Or if he didn't get a sack, he got a couple really big tackles for loss, which was great as well to see that going in. But he was on the radio a couple weeks ago. He's one of the guys that does the weekly thing. Ren in the chat room says 1 sack for Ayers. Thank you for clarifying that for me, Ren. I appreciate that. How many tackles for loss did he have, though? You going to look that up real quick? I don't know if you can find that stat real quick. That'd be funny if you could. Anyway, Ayers is one of these guys. He has a weekly radio show at the Bucs Radio Live where they interview him. And he had a couple things. I was able to go pull some of the audio for that. But I wanted you to hear, this is the kind of attitude that I want all of the Bucs to have. This is the kind of attitude I want all of us Bucs fans to have. So take a listen. It's a shortish clip. It's about a minute and a half long. But listen to his answer about how he sets goals for himself.
Along those lines, a Buck fan named Dolev, if I have the name right, asks about your goals. He says, what's your personal goal for the season? Do you think you can get double-digit sacks, get us to the playoffs? We believe in you. I don't know. I can't remember if I asked you about, do you set double-digit sacks as a goal, or do you set goals?
I do. My goals are unrealistic. I can be honest with you since I'm on the radio.
Sure,
so
please.
For me to, that's just how I am. My goals are unrealistic. I expect to go 16-0 every year. I literally don't think about losing. That's just how my dad programmed me. That's how he wired me. If you think about losing, then that's doubt, and then you lost. So I really don't think about losing. I really truly in my heart think that I'm gonna get a sack every play. And early in my career that hurt me because that's what I was only trying to do, or I was only trying to make a tackle for loss, or if a play was running me, I was trying to make it. Every play I think I can make a play, and so that hurts me a lot. So for me to set a goal of a certain number, it's kind of like that'll never happen,
Right.
But for me, I just try to, now I stop kind of setting those sack number goals because, it got ridiculous. And so I just try to, win every play. My mindset is every play that I'm out there, I want to win, whether it's, winning by being in my gap, winning by getting a tackle, or winning by getting a sack. I just want to win every play.
Buck fan Miguel on the Buccaneers mobile app says, as a defensive end, I know you're rushing the quarterback on every down. However, do you enjoy?
All right. We'll bring that back in. So Robert Ayers, that was him speaking about the idea of what he does with goals. And he's talking about how unrealistic his goals actually are. Because he expects to go out and get a sack every single play, or get a tackle for loss every single play. He expects to go out and win every single game. He doesn't think about losing. He doesn't, he fully expects that he's going to win out the rest of the year. He fully expects that at the end of the season, the Bucs are going to be 11-5. And then they're going to go to the playoffs. And they're going to roll through whatever spot they're in, whether it's the wild card spot or the division leader spot. They're going to get to the NFC Championship. They're going to win the NFC Championship. They're going to get to the Super Bowl because that's what happens when you win the NFC Championship. And they're going to win this NFC Championship too. And then he's going to come back next year, and they're going to go undefeated all the way to the Super Bowl. He literally thinks that. He literally thinks that. And he knows that that's unrealistic. And so he just goes in and he says, I just try to win every play that's in front of me. That's the kind of attitude, Bucs fans, that marks a culture of winning. That's the kind of attitude that allows people to walk. I hear people talking about it like this week, they're kind of they're saying, man, it's like the team actually believes they're going to win. It's like the team thinks they're going out there, and it's like they're going out there. They think they might actually win. It's like they're starting to believe it. Like we knew they could do it, but it's like they're starting to believe it. Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel that surging through. I think the two things that I feel changing as a fan, as far away from these guys as I am, the two things that I feel is I feel a connectedness. I feel a family atmosphere. And that's the only word that I can use because it's the word that keeps coming up. It's the word that keeps getting, I don't want to say batted around, but Jameis talked about it quite a bit last week. All the guys that were in the interviews talked about it last week. Gerald McCoy made it was the central theme of his entire pregame speech. In fact, the only thing that I've heard them break things down on anymore, when they do the hands in the air, go 3, 2, 1, or 1, 2, 3, whatever, is family. They're breaking everything down on family. They're trying to be a family. They're instituting culture, guys. So it's family. And it's expect to win. Expect to win. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And you know what happens when you expect to win? You can go into Arrowhead Stadium, the loudest stadium, Guinness Book of World Records, loudest stadium in the entire world. 142 decibels. Guys, if I could explain, okay, I'm a sound guy, right? Like by training, that's what I am. I'm an audio engineer. Like I run soundboards for big concert type things, okay? If I could explain to you exactly how decibels work, it would blow your mind to know how loud 142 decibels actually is. It's phenomenal. It is so because the scale is exponential. It's not linear. So the louder you go, the difference, the difference. You have to get so much louder to push up another 10 decibels, higher. The higher you go, then, the lower you go. So, it's phenomenal. But when you're family and you don't just think you can win, you go in just saying, we're going to win this game. We will win this game. And you legitimately believe that you're going in, there's no way we're losing this game. It's just not happening. Now that's not just, silly willpower. That's not, we're just not going to win this game. Because I don't, I believe I can fly. I'm going to go up to the roof and jump off because I believe I can fly. No, it's not that. Okay, it's confidence in what you can actually do. I believe I can go get in my car and I can drive my son to school tomorrow. And dang it, that's what I'm going to do. I believe I can do that. I believe we can go into Arrowhead Stadium, the loudest stadium in the entire country, in the world, and win. We believe we can come home the next week, and we can also beat the Seattle Seahawks. Potentially a Super Bowl team. A lot of people picking the Seahawks to go to the Super Bowl this year. Not many people picking the Bucs. So let's just say that. We potentially just beat the Super Bowl team this year, y'all. That's kind of fun. Think about that. We potentially just became a Super Bowl team this year, y'all. How about that? That's a better thing to think about. Tampa Bay Buccaneers just became a team that could go to the Super Bowl. Could happen. It really could happen. Just wanted to throw that out there. People in the chat room, what do you think? You want to give me a call and talk to me about it? Phone lines are open, 864-729-BUCKS. 864-729-2827. Call me in. Let's talk about culture. Let's talk about how this team is changing. Let's talk about how they're changing from the inside out. And by the way, I want to go back and say one more thing that I've been saying for a long time about culture. I've been trying to get you guys to understand this. Winning comes from culture, not the other way around. Your culture doesn't come from winning. Winning and losing comes from culture. That's what we're starting to see, people. That's what we're starting to see. All right, let's talk about some people. Let's talk about some individual players, okay? Let's start where we should always start. Jameis Winston. I checked he has a personal chef that I am in touch with, Jameis Winston. He emailed me what he's been eating. You know, I've been trying to lose some weight too. And do you know what Jameis Winston has for breakfast every single morning? It's pretty amazing. Scrambled eggs. I'm bringing that joke back. Scrambled eggs. Because you know why? Did you guys see Jameis scrambling out there today? Oh my word. Jameis gets out there, defender guy, I don't even know who he was, had his hand on Jameis's jersey, pulling him down, and Jameis said no, swatted him away, walked over, 3 more people in Jameis Winston's face, and Jameis just kind of looks up and says, hey, Mike, waves his hand and says, come a little closer. Come here, Mike. Come here, Mike. Here, take this ball, just before somebody tries to touch me. It was fantastic. It was, oh, wait, we need a first down here. Let me run for it myself. Oh, I'm going to get around these guys. Jameis Winston, scrambling fool. That's what we're going to start calling him. Jabu, scrambling fool. Jameis Winston, great game today. Fan-freaking-tastic game. Now, this past week, if you guys, by the way, I'm sorry that the main show got out a little bit late. James Jarko from the Pewter Plank was on the show this past week. We recorded the show actually early on Tuesday afternoon, at which point I had actually gotten pretty sick, and I was out for a couple of days and then Thanksgiving, so I wasn't able to get it until I think Friday morning, I want to say. So I apologize if you guys didn't get a chance to listen to it. I would say, even though it's now a game behind, go back and listen to it again, because James had some fantastic stuff to say. Why did I start talking about that? I'm not really sure. But either way, Jameis had a great game. I had something I was going to say. I don't know why. I don't know. It's getting late. It's getting late, y'all. Wow, look at that. We are just about 10 minutes. Okay, so hey, listen, for anyone who wants to call in, we're going to go ahead and make this, I just say time's running out. We have time maybe for 1, maybe 2 more calls, right? 864-729-BUCKS, 864-729-2827. Roberto Aguayo, let's talk about him. Misses a 48-yard field goal today. Now, made his other 2 kicks. Missed the 48-yard. And I had said, this might have been why I started picking that up. I had said to James last week, listen, Roberto Aguayo had a fantastic week last week. He's had a fantastic run of weeks. Okay, he really has. Hashtag I'm with 19. I think everybody should be using that hashtag I'm with 19. We're not getting rid of Roberto Aguayo, people. But I said last week, no, listen, Roberto's been on a little bit of a roll. There is probably going to come a day when he misses another field goal. It could happen. Today it happened. He misses a 48-yarder. Now, 48-yarder should not be that. I don't want to say it's money in the bank, but it should be pretty much fairly consistent. That said, I don't think that was even his sweet spot in college. Is that range? You know, I'm not really sure. So all I'm going to say is, Bucs fans, is anybody freaking out about Roberto Aguayo? Does anybody care that he missed that particular kick? I mean, I care. I don't want him to miss the kick, you know, but I think he's going to figure it out. I think he's doing just fine. I think he's going to be great. Mike Evans was so clutch this game. Oh my gosh. I loved watching him. It seemed like every time we threw to him, he had a ball in his hand, which was just fantastic. And it's because he was tall. I do think it showed a lack of deficiency yet again in in the rest of the wide receiving core. Yeah, I mean, Adam Humphries is fantastic, but Cecil Shorts and I don't know if Russell Shepard was out there for too many plays. Who else do we have? You know, I know there's a couple other guys maybe on the practice squad and stuff too that, hey, listen, yeah, I don't know. But we, you know, that's going to, I think, have to be something that we address here in the offseason. Mike Evans, just so you guys know, I'm looking it up right now, had 20, for me anyway, had 22 fantasy points this week. That's a pretty damn good week. He had 8 receptions for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns, bringing him up to 22 points in my league. So that's not bad. Jameis Winston this week, however, only had 15 points. Wow. Threw for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Yeah, on that interception, it's all right. He did pretty good. Doug Martin, let's talk about Doug Martin. Doug Martin continues his way back. It's fantastic to see. Everybody loves watching Doug Martin, right? And you remember that first week he got back, it was just, you know, a couple weeks ago, what was it, against the Bears, I think it was. And you know, it was good getting him back in there. He's like shaking off the rust. You know, he was, you know, he wasn't breaking off for any big runs, right? Last week he comes in, he does much better. Breaks off a couple big runs, busts through some tackles. You know, he's still not 100% the Doug Martin that we had in 2015, right? And then he comes out today. And I thought he had a much better day today than he even did last week. Now, I think he still didn't quite crack the 100-yard mark on rushing, but there were a couple really big runs. Now, what we've not seen him do yet, and that's okay. Like, I think this is part of the him coming back type thing. What we've not seen him do yet is to break past the first tackle, the second tackle, the fifth tackle, and, you know, break off a 20-yard run. Something we did see him do today, which is quite normal for him, is a fumble, which I don't mean to make light of that. I'm just saying, I think it just shows that he's back. That also means, by the way, if he's not getting the ball, he's not fumbling, right? The fact where it's going to happen. We give him the ball as much as we do. Fumbles are going to happen at some point in the deal. But Doug is back. I love seeing Doug back. And, you know, it's we've got to take better care of the football. He knows that just like everybody else does. But I continue to expect to see Doug Martin continue to improve, and I think he did improve this week. And so big shout out to Doug Martin. Levante David, we covered him just a few minutes ago. All right, I got one more guy on defense I do want to talk about, though. Bradley McDougald. I thought Bradley McDougald had a good game. What do you guys think over there in the chat room? Yeah? I think Bradley had a good game. I think Bradley, I think that's what we have to call him. Not Brad. It doesn't sound right. Bradley. Here's the thing. I like him. I like him. I know a lot of people give him and Chris Conte just a lot of crap, but I like Bradley McDougald. And now I'll say this. I still think that we want to draft a really good safety. You know, Chris Conte had a couple of good games there. He had a couple of interceptions back-to-back games. It would have been cool to see him get a third interception back-to-back games. But Chris Conte just didn't seem... He just kind of seemed like his normal Chris Conte self. You know, he didn't let anybody break off a big one past him, but he didn't make any big splash plays. Bradley McDougald, however, felt like had a couple of big splash plays throughout this game. And, you know, McDougald is kind of one of those guys like, I want to draft a good safety, you know, a good starting safety, but I want to keep McDougald like to play on that other spot unless we can draft 2 good safeties, maybe, or maybe get a really killer free agency acquisition. But I'd be really comfortable with Bradley McDougald. I like him on this team. So yeah. Now let's talk about the offensive line. Okay. At my InstantCast, I am an offensive line player. That was what I played. I played, in fact, offensive tackle, and I played the left side. So I'm playing Donovan Smith's spot. That was what I played when I was in school. Obviously, I never went to the NFL, so I wasn't that good. At least not as good as these guys are. But I played it for a few years, and you know, I've not just been. I've started picking these guys apart a little bit, and the biggest complaint that I've had, particularly with Donovan Smith, has been a guy gets past him and then he just gives up on the play. And what I've seen over these last couple of games and today as well, the offensive tackles are not just hitting their first. They're not just getting their first block or their first hit. They're getting a second and a third hit. They're staying in the play for as long as the play is running down, and that's fantastic. That will sometimes lead to penalties. It's going to happen. There was a big one that happened today on DeMar Dotson with a hands to the face, which was that the one that negated the touchdown? Was that the one that negated the King and Break touchdown? Oh, that sucked. Oh, that sucked so bad. But that said, I love seeing the offensive tackles a little bit more involved, which I thought was fantastic for what we have in there. So defense, I thought was really, really, really good tonight. That was fun to see for what we had going on there. So yeah, I think those are my notes. All right, I'm going to put this out. Last call for anyone in the chat room there who wants to give us a phone call, 864-729-BUCS. That's 864-729-2827. You can call in and we'll talk about anything that you want to talk about in regards to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and specifically the Bucs versus Seahawks game that happened today. All right, guys, make sure that you are subscribed to us on iTunes. You guys definitely want to make sure you do that. That way you get this as soon as we post it out. InstantCast goes up pretty quickly. But more than that, you want to make sure you're catching the main shows as they come out. Mahabone in the chat room asked me if I'm still with 19. I think he just jumped in here a little bit later. The answer is yes, I am still with 19. I think he's going to put it together. What I had said earlier was that he missed that 48-yard field goal. That's never been his sweet spot, even in college. I think he's going to figure it out. We can't lose our ever-loving minds every time he misses one. We really can't. He's the guy that we have in there. He's the guy that's gonna be playing with us. So we've got to stick with him anyway. Hashtag we're all with 19. Doesn't matter whether you like it or not. Hashtag. So, but yeah, I'm still with 19, and he's my boy. So he's my boy. I don't know him. I've never met him before. I do got to say this. I think one of the absolute funniest memes that I've seen out there is where they took a face of his off of like an interview and they put it over Jack Nicholson's face from The Shining, which is hilarious. It makes me laugh every time I see that. So, yeah, Jay in the chat room says he's still with him. Missed 48 thing. It happens. He made the extra point to Tim's though. Yeah, he sure did. So we do that. All right. Well, guys, I think that's actually probably going to go ahead and wrap it up for the show. I really do. Like I said, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave iTunes reviews. Those are always helpful. And make sure that you are on the lookout for the main show coming up later this week. We should have that out at our normal time. We usually aim for that on Wednesday mornings to release overnight, sometime between Tuesday and Wednesday. Sometimes we have to push it out a day. Really don't like getting it out much past Thursday. So be on the lookout for that. We've got a fun show coming up this week, which should be very fun, especially coming off the Seahawks game. This was a huge win for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, has lots of implications. You can get a hold with us. You can go to Twitter at the PewterCast. You can go to Facebook.com/thepewtercast or email us, thepewtercast@gmail.com. And we'd love to talk to you guys about what all is happening out there. So, guys, until next time, just got one more thing to say. Go Bucs.